Well, thank you for rejoining me for part 2 of this tour blank tutorial on the Beach Boys' most widely used concert poster of the 1960s. This is PosterCentral.com, of course, and I'm Pete Howard. And if you haven't seen part 1 of this video yet, you may want to hop over and watch it. It gives a lot of context for what I'm about to show you. So, okay, here we go, through photographic representation. By the way, part 1 had 2 real posters, and what I'm showing you in this part is pictures of all authentic real posters. And from the 64 Boise, we go into 1965 here, and Sacramento, California, where the Beach Boys essentially broke out of in 1963, largely thanks to local promoter Fred Vail. In fact, they played Sacramento so much, this here in 65, early in 65, their 6th appearance in the state's capital. And you got a radio station jumping in and taking that top spot on the poster, Croy Radio, Top 40 KROY. And tickets definitely changed from last year. They went up almost $2. Look at that, $4.50 top ticket price. Wow. Now, it's too bad they weren't stripping in the opening acts yet. You'll see later they're coming. But at this show, it was Paul Revere and the Raiders, about a year before that group hit the map with Just Like Me. So now we move into the spring of 1965 and Miami Beach, Florida. Wow, and look at the top of that. I really like the script on that. I like the way that reads. In person, 1 performance only. Looks cool. That's really nice. Then you've got the busiest venue box of all the posters I'm going to show you. Just tons of ticket locations given on there. And how about a high ticket price of $5 now? Wow, now of course Miami was always a little more expensive than most other American cities, but wow, $5 in 1965, wow. And Beach Boys wise, this is the week that Help Me Rhonda entered the Billboard charts and went all the way to #1. So, going just a month later now, let's see what we have here, still the spring of 1965, and we go to Dayton, Ohio for this one, with, once again, the radio station taking the top spot on the poster up there. Dayton, Ohio and WONE. And boy, here come the opening acts. Check them out, huh? Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs with Wooly Bully. It was in the top 10 right now at the time of this show. And how about this? Featured on Shindig TV, Glenn Campbell, sometimes Beach Boys bassist. That's really funny. That's kind of incestuous, but of course absolutely, totally above board and legit. Nobody was being fooled. So, you know, this is a good point, though, a good point, yeah, to point out that all these posters were made to last for just like 3 to 6 weeks and then be thrown away. They were not created to be saved and archived and held up for study like this half a century later, for heaven's sake. So you had casual carelessness, I guess I would call it, in laying these things out, not to mention very limited resources compared to what we have today, just the telephone. But a perfectionist like me might also say, well, what's wrong with just picking up the phone to be sure? But the reason I'm making this point is, on this particular poster, I just want to point out, Wooly is misspelled, Bully is misspelled, Pharaohs is misspelled, and Glenn is misspelled. Boy, that's a little bit out of control, isn't it? Now, you know, in a way, it's kind of quaint and charming. You know, that's kind of neat. But things were getting bigger all the time. So, you know, nobody likes to see their band name, artist name misspelled or whatever. But it's just, it is what it is, right? I mean, this very week, the Beach Boys appeared on the cover of Time magazine, along with several other musicians. So things were really ramping up. Okay, so then we go into 1966, and one of everybody's favorite spot, Honolulu, Hawaii. Check this out, yeah. And up top there, the space is used for screaming headline, Back by Popular Demand. So this was a one-off show with the Beach Boys returning from their first Japanese tour. And meanwhile, Brian was back in Los Angeles working on Pet Sounds. Nice. So this one has 5 opening acts and 2 Masters of Ceremonies listed. You've got Jackie Lee's The Duck on there in the National Top 20 right now. And same with the misspelled Lou Christie's Lightnin' Strikes. That record was headed for the #1 spot on Billboard's chart. And then you've got 3 other acts and the 2 MCs. So do you like the Beach Boys record Barbara Ann, I ask? Of course I ask, because everybody does, right? Well, that hit #2 in Billboard magazine this very week, and that was that record's peak position. So then we go into the spring of 1966, and obviously some of my pictures are going to be better than others, sorry about this one, but Fort Worth, Texas. Once again, the radio station up there on the top, and two nice opening acts on this. You've got the White Hot Lovin' Spoonful, my gosh. They were coming off 3 straight top 10 hits, including Daydream, which luckily is listed on the poster, and then they would have 4 more top 10 hits. They were not support act at this point, but you know, they got on the bill here. And then you've got Chad and Jeremy near the end of their short performing career, and you know, instead of having on there one of their 1964 cool hits like Yesterday's Gone, the poster merely plugs a recent single of theirs. And then as you can see, handwritten in there is another opening act, Elite. As for the Beach Boys, well, their classic Sloop John B. had just entered the charts, and that was headed for the national top 5. Next we go into the summer of 1966 and Santa Barbara, California, very close to home for Brian, of course, and the beloved Santa Barbara County Bowl, now just the Bowl. American Productions is back on the top, as you can see, and there's 2 opening acts on here, both with very cool songs. You've got the Association there with Along Comes Mary, and an S added to their name accidentally, and that was their first big hit, and it was very much racing up the chart at this point. And then the Sir Douglas Quintet, oddly abbreviated QUIT, as you can see, and a song given as Rain, Rain, when in fact the song title is The Rains Came. So that means 3 out of the 4 lines on this poster have an error. And in part 1 I pointed out that you know, local information is not printed in each city like Santa Barbara here, but all done by Majestic Poster Press in Los Angeles. So, you know, given all the mistakes we've seen with opening acts, it's clear that there was a typesetter problem with Majestic, whose strength was not spelling, punctuation, and grammar, you might say. And yet all the ticket information appears to be flawless on all the posters. So it's definitely a puzzler. In fact, maybe it wasn't the typesetter at all. Maybe a clerical person in the chain somewhere was in charge of gathering opening act information. But it went on, the mistakes went on for over a year, so you'd really think, you know, somebody would have complained louder and sooner. As for Santa Barbara here, the Beach Boys musically, this was the week that their classic album Pet Sounds entered the national top 10 LPs of Billboard. And what's really cool is that 51 years later, in the spring of 2017, wow, Brian Wilson played the Santa Barbara Bowl on the 50th anniversary Pet Sounds tour, and you know, I wonder if anybody went to both shows. That would have really been something. Okay, so we go from spring to summer to the fall of 1966 and to Tallahassee, Florida with this one. And oh boy, take a look at the sparse information there in the venue box. Wow, no opening acts and 0 ticket information. Wow. Well, you know, sometimes the promoters hadn't exactly figured out their prices yet, and they just wanted to get the posters in and up around town. Then again, this was sponsored by students, so maybe it was just a matter of not quite having their act together. But look how localized that information is, just Tully Gym. You know, it's almost like this was meant to be posted on campus only and not around Tallahassee. But boy, talk about a great time for the Beach Boys. Wouldn't It Be Nice was in the national top 10 for them. Its B-side, God Only Knows, also on the charts. And 2 weeks later, Good Vibrations would be released as a single. Wow. And then finally, we go to 1967. Take a look at this babe. Yeah, Western Illinois University in Macomb, Illinois. Wow. And it's funny, the venue and the time of the show are given up in that top strip. Interesting choice there. And the year is conveniently given in the date here. And at this point now, Brian was back in Los Angeles working on the Ill-Fated Smile album. So this 67 is definitely the latest I've seen this tour blank in use. If you've seen one later, or in fact if you've seen any example that I haven't shown you in this video, please shoot me an image if you wouldn't mind. I'd really appreciate it. So thanks for joining me on this fun tutorial, The Beach Boys in the Mid-60s. Take care, have a good day, and we'll see you again soon.